This happened a few weeks ago. I'm 32 now, and I returned to my small hometown for summer break. I thought it would be nice to reminisce about carefree days spent with friends. I parked my car on the dirt road, feeling the warm sun on my skin. I wasn't a stranger to the cornfields. I'd played in them as a kid. I never stopped thinking about it. I walked through the familiar rows of corn. The air was thick and humid, and I could smell the soil. Everything felt oddly nostalgic, but it was also uncomfortable, like something was lurking just out of view. Then I spotted it. The scarecrow we built years ago. Its faded eyes seemed to follow me as I moved. I hesitated, trying to shake the feeling off. Around midnight, I decided to take another walk through the fields. I hoped the darkness would offer some peace. I heard something. Whispers, maybe? It sent a chill down my spine. I tried to write it off as the wind rustling through the stalks. But it felt wrong. Shadows darted just beyond my vision, making my heart race. I wanted to turn back, but something compelled me to stay. Later that week, I returned to the scarecrow. It stood still, but I noticed strange messages carved into its wooden post. Names I thought I'd forgotten. I felt a dryness in my throat. I glanced around, anxiety creeping in. Was someone watching me? I shook my head. It must have been my imagination. But then, one night, I felt it. Like someone was behind me. I turned quickly, but there was nothing. Just the cornfield swaying gently. I could hear my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I asked myself if I was just remembering things wrong. Maybe I was just too tired, but why did the memories feel so vivid? The memories. I decided to confront the scarecrow again. It stood there, waiting for me. Its eyes now held a dark presence. I took a step closer, and the whispers returned, almost clearer this time. "Help us," they said. I couldn't catch my breath. I stumbled back, my heart racing. I thought about the secret we buried deep and never spoke of again. That night, I saw it. A shadowy figure standing in the field. I wanted to scream, but my voice wouldn't come. The figure only pointed, and at that moment, I understood. Something had returned. Something I never wanted to confront. In that moment, I froze. The field felt alive, whispers echoing around me. I looked back and saw the scarecrow's stitched smile. A cold dread gripped my chest. I turned to run but stumbled, feeling my heart pound louder. When I glanced over my shoulder, the figure was gone. But the whispers grew louder, wrapping around me like a chilling embrace. "Help us," they echoed again. I didn't want to be there anymore, but my legs wouldn't move. I stood trapped in a circle of memories. The corn swayed like it was alive, and the scarecrow watched me, grinning. What had I awakened? What truth lingered in this haunted field? I didn't sleep much that night. The image of the shadow and the whispers haunted me. I lay in bed, the ceiling fan spinning lazily above, trying to rationalize everything. I convinced myself I was just stressed from being back home. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. The next morning, curiosity overpowered my fear. I decided to go back to the cornfield. Maybe confronting it in daylight would help me make sense of everything. I grabbed a bottle of water and headed out. The sun was bright, but it felt like the dullness of the field remained. As I walked in, the well-remembered trails felt wrong under my feet. I stepped cautiously toward the scarecrow, which stood as an ominous sentinel over the rows of corn. My heart raced in my chest. What could I find this time? I hoped for answers, but feared what I might really discover. When I reached the scarecrow, I noticed something new. A small wooden box at its base, covered in dirt. I knelt down and brushed the soil away, revealing more of its surface. It was engraved with the initials of my friends and me from the summer we built our tall guardian. A shiver ran through me. What was this doing here? Something compelled me to open it. Inside, I found a few items wrapped in a scrap of cloth. I pulled it out gingerly and unfolded it. A small silver locket. As I opened it, the photo inside made my heart drop. It was of me and my childhood best friend, Sarah. But the picture felt incomplete. Her face was scratched and blurry, as if someone wanted to erase her from the frame. My breath caught in my throat and I glanced around. Was she somehow connected to all this? The low whispers began again, this time louder, more insistent. "Find us," they urged. I felt the weight of their plea, a desperate call to action. Instinctively, I clutched the locket tighter, feeling its cold metal press against my palm. I thought about Sarah, how she disappeared that summer after our field adventures. No one ever talked about it. Suddenly the air shifted. The calmness of the field faded into an eerie silence, and I turned, scanning the rows of corn. I could have sworn I saw a flash of movement, something low and quick. Panic surged through me. I needed to leave, but my legs felt heavy. That's when I heard it, a distinct creaking sound coming from the scarecrow, like it was shifting its weight. I took a step back, and there it was again, a shadow darting towards me from the corner of my eye. I swiveled to face it, adrenaline coursing through me. The whispers turned into frantic cries, echoing around me like a storm. "Help us! Help us!" Then everything went dark. The sunlight vanished behind thick clouds that rolled in unexpectedly. The atmosphere thickened, and I felt an overwhelming sense of dread. I needed to escape this nightmare. But as I turned to run, the ground felt unsteady beneath my feet. I could hear the faint sound of laughter, sickeningly familiar, yet distorted. What had I stumbled into? Where was Sarah? As I bolted back, I realized I wasn't just confronting the past. I was being drawn into its depths, and something wicked was ready to show itself. I stumbled forward, blinded by the sudden darkness. Panic gripped me as I tried to regain my bearings. My heart raced, each beat matching the haunting chorus of whispers. I called out Sarah's name, but the sound swallowed in the thick air, echoing back hollowly. "Find us!" the voices insisted, now seeming to come from all directions. I was not alone. The shadows shifted closer, wrapping themselves around me. I fought the urge to scream. I had to think clearly. I'd faced my fears many times before. I remembered the things we used to do as kids, how we would play hide-and-seek in the cornfield, laughing and darting among the stalks, feeling invincible. I hadn't felt that way in years. I stumbled back towards the scarecrow. The wooden box was still there, but now it seemed more foreboding. With trembling fingers, I reached out to touch it, hoping to ground myself. Maybe there was something more inside that could shed light on what was happening. As I knelt, the clouds above me moved in a way that felt unnatural. The wind picked up, carrying that mimetic laughter again, pulling at my mind. "Help us!" they pleaded, overlapping with a sudden rush of wind. A gust sent me reeling back. That's when I saw it, the edge of the field where the corn met the woods. A flicker of movement caught my eye. I squinted and felt a chill run down my spine. There, just beyond the corn's edge, was a figure. My breath hitched. Was it a person? Was it Sarah? "Wait!" I shouted, rising to my feet. I staggered toward the figure, drawn by an inexplicable need to connect with her, to understand what had happened. The shadows reached out, grasping at me, urging me back, but my feet were rooted to the ground. "Come back!" it called out, the voice chillingly familiar, yet fragmented into disjointed sentences. I felt a magnetic pull, and for a moment, I thought I might run straight into the woods. I hesitated, though. Something was dangerously wrong about this. The air was heavy with sorrow, not joy. Fear and urgency twisted inside me as I tried to shake off the memories that threatened to suffocate me. "Sarah?" I tried again, with less confidence. The figure shifted, disappearing momentarily behind the cornstalks. It was like a mirage, taunting me with the idea of what once was. I was running out of time. I couldn't just stay there. If I lost this chance, I might never find her again. As I pivoted to chase after the figure, there came a sound that froze me. A cracking, splintering noise. The scarecrow groaned, and suddenly, parts of it began to fall, its straw spilling onto the ground. I was trapped. Whatever had been released in this field was now fully awake and watching. I needed a way out, and fast. Desperation clawed at me, and I felt the whispers intensifying. They were angry now, demanding. "Help us!" I heard again, but with an edge that felt threatening. Fear coursed through me like ice as I turned back toward the rows of corn. I realized I had to choose. Confront the figure in the woods, or figure out what the scarecrow truly meant. If only there was time to do both. The shadows danced around me as I stood frozen, torn between the need to chase after the figure and the desire to uncover the mystery of the scarecrow. My instincts screamed at me, urging me to escape this place, but a flicker of determination forced me to stay. "Find us!" The whispers echoed, louder now. I turned my attention toward the scarecrow. It looked more grotesque than before, its patched clothes hanging loosely, as if somehow alive. I took a shaky step closer. Maybe I could learn something. Perhaps Sarah had left a clue here. I knelt beside the wooden box once more, praying it would reveal its secrets. My fingers grazed the splintered edge. Inside, I found a tangle of straw, but something caught my eye. An old, frayed piece of fabric. I pulled it out and held it up to the dim light, my breath catching in my throat. It was a part of Sarah's favorite shirt, a once bright pattern now muted and worn. "Sarah," I whispered, a mix of hope and dread swirling in my gut. Had she been here? The realization hit me hard. If she had touched this box, she must have been close. But then, why wasn't she here now? A feeling of urgency flooded through me and pulled me to my feet. I needed to follow the figure, the last trace of her. As I turned toward the edge of the cornfield, I heard the scarecrow creaking behind me. Its ominous presence felt even without looking back. I dashed toward the woods, heart pounding, each step crunching softly against the dry earth. The whispers faded somewhat, but not completely. They still lingered, threading through the trees like a ghostly trail. As I reached the tree line, the chill of the night wrapped around me, dark and suffocating. "Wait for us," the shadowy voice called again, this time sounding more desperate. I crept cautiously into the woods, scanning my surroundings. It felt wrong, deeply unsettling. Twisting branches loomed overhead, and I could barely see a step ahead. I could run back, but the hope of finding Sarah kept me from retreating. Then, I spotted something illuminated by the faint light filtering through the branches. A broken doll, half buried beneath leaves and dirt. I knelt, unearthed it, and recognized it instantly. It was the same doll Sarah had loved as a kid. A terrible wave of dread washed over me. What did this mean? Before I could collect my thoughts, a sharp crack pierced the silence. My head snapped up, and I saw the figure again, just a few feet ahead. It turned, revealing its face, a face that sent another jolt of fear coursing through me. It was Sarah, but twisted, her eyes darkened and hollow. "Help us," she rasped, reaching out, but the forest seemed to shift, trapping her behind a wall of shadows. My heart sank. What was happening to her? "Sarah!" I shouted, my voice breaking. I lunged forward, but just as quickly, the shadows enveloped her, and she vanished without a trace. Panic set in. I needed to find a way to bring her back, to break whatever darkness had claimed her. My feet churned as I raced deeper into the woods. But the whispers returned, louder and more chaotic. "You will lose her. Forever." I halted, breathless, realizing again I was not alone. Something malevolent lurked in the shadows, and time was running out. I had to make my next choice quickly, or I'd be lost too. I took a deep breath, my mind racing. A decision had to be made. I could either keep chasing after Sarah, or try to confront whatever darkness had just swallowed her. Each option felt like stepping off a cliff. The forest whispered around me, taunting my very thoughts. "Help us!" The words re-echoed in my ears. It wasn't just Sarah's voice. It was a chorus of them now. I felt the weight of their longing and despair. It sent chills down my spine, and I clenched my fists, forcing myself to focus. I chose to move forward, deeper into the woods, sensing the urgency pulsing through my veins. Every step felt laden with the tales of the past, of all the children who had wandered here and lost their way. I stumbled upon another clearing, faintly illuminated by a sliver of moonlight breaking through the treetops, and that's when I saw it. A large, weathered stone with strange carvings etched into its surface. I stepped closer, trying to decipher the symbols. They twisted and turned, spiraling into dark shapes that felt alive, shifting under the moonlight. My heart raced. This must have been a marker. A warning, perhaps? "Don't touch it," a voice hissed from the shadows. I froze, spine stiffening. "Who's there?" I called out, trying to sound brave even as panic surged inside me. Out stepped a figure, cloaked in darkness, yet somehow seeming to blend into the surrounding shadows. I couldn't make out their features, but their eyes flickered like dying embers. "You shouldn't be here. You don't know what you're messing with." "Where's Sarah?" I demanded, heart thumping, fists clenching. Just when I thought I could get some answers. "Leave. Leave this place." The voice was sharp, firm. "She's in danger, and you cannot help her. The forest is hungry." "Hungry?" I repeated, the word tasting bitter on my tongue. "I won't leave her. I need to save her. What do I have to do?" The figure shifted, glancing toward the stone. "What you seek is locked away. That stone is a gateway, but it requires a sacrifice." "Sacrifice?" The horizon of fear grew. "What kind of sacrifice?" "You must offer something of yours. A piece of your soul, if you want her back." The ominous words hung in the air. There's no other way. As dread pooled in my stomach, I thought about my own life, my own essence. I was terrified of losing Sarah, but the idea of sacrificing my own light was more than I could bear. I took a step back, trying to process everything. "Bring her back!" I yelled, desperation rising. But the figure merely shook their heads slowly, merging back into the darkness, leaving only cold air and an eerie silence behind. I was alone again, heart racing, the weight of my choices heavy in the air. I could still hear the whispers of the forest, growing louder, more cacophonous. "She's not the only one in danger." Then the ground trembled beneath my feet, and shadows began to twist and scream. Panic flooded back. I had to figure it out, and fast. Before I could think, a bright flash erupted from the stone, blinding me. I raised my hands to shield my eyes, but when I looked again, the stone was pulsating. A vision seeped into my mind, images of Sarah trapped, surrounded by darkness. "Help us!" The haunting cries returned, echoing in my soul. I had no time to waste. I would find a way to save her, or I would become lost with her. The vision faded, but the urgency remained. I knew I had to do something. I inched closer to the stone, its energy thrumming with every heartbeat, every breath. "A piece of my soul?" I whispered, unsure whether the question was directed at the stone or to the darkness that had engulfed me. A rustle in the underbrush drew my attention. I spun around, fists clenched, ready to confront whatever lurked in the shadows. But it was just a rabbit, darting past me in a blur of fur and panic. My heart sank at the sight. Even nature felt afraid in this cursed place. I turned back to the stone. There had to be more to understand. More I could do before it came to that. While I studied it, I noticed a small indentation at its base, almost hidden beneath the vines and dirt. Instinct kicked in, and I knelt down, brushing away the debris. My fingers brushed against something cold and metallic. A small dagger, its blade adorned with the same strange symbols as the stone. "What is this?" I muttered under my breath. I felt the weight of the dagger in my hand. It was unsettling, like holding a piece of forgotten history. But could it also be a way to save Sarah? Before I could dwell on it further, the ground rattled again. I dropped the dagger instinctively, but it didn't fall far, caught by the roots of the earth. The whispers returned, now louder, more urgent. "Help us!" They swarmed around me like 1,000 frenzied voices, each one pleading, begging for something I couldn't understand. "Stop!" I shouted, trying to drown out the sound. "I'm here to help. I just need to know what to do." The stone began to glow brighter, its energy seeping into the air, swirling like a tempest. A gust of wind swept through the clearing, knocking me back. I stumbled to the ground, feeling the cold earth beneath my palms. "No!" I shouted, scrambling to my feet. "I will not give up." As I steadied myself, I noticed a faint light beyond the trees. It flickered like a candle, dancing among the thick darkness. With no time to waste, I snatched the dagger from where it lay and took off toward the glow, hoping it could lead me to Sarah. The path narrowed as I pressed on, branches clawing at my clothes and skin. The air felt thick, almost suffocating, yet I pushed forward. Each step echoed with the whispers, now a crescendo of anguish. "Help us!" When I reached the source of the light, I gasped. It was another clearing, larger and filled with strange glowing flowers that pulsed in sync with the dagger. In the center stood a figure, silhouetted against the light, its eyes glowing eerily, mirroring the stone. I stepped forward. "Who are you?" I called out, heart pounding. "Guardian of the lost." The voice was soft, melodic, yet it held a profound weight. "You've come seeking salvation. But what are you willing to sacrifice?" The weight of my choice pressed heavily again, and I felt a sickening churn in my stomach. But there was no turning back. Not anymore. "I'll do whatever it takes," I answered, my voice steady despite my racing thoughts. "Then prepare for what comes next," the voice warned, and in that moment, everything changed. Suddenly, I felt a pull deep within, a beckoning from both the flowers and the dagger, a connection that struck with an urgency that made the ground tremble. I realized the journey was only beginning, and I was caught in its relentless flow. Would I unlock Sarah's fate, or would I become another lost child of the forest? The answer lay ahead, and I was about to find out. I felt the energy of the flowers wrap around me, a mixture of warmth and a chilling dread. The guardian remained still, watching me with those piercing eyes. "You must choose, child," it said, voice echoing in the hollow of the clearing, mingling with the whispers that grew louder, urgent. "But first, you must understand." The words hung in the air like a burden, and I hesitated. I needed answers. "What do I need to understand?" I asked, clutching the dagger tighter. With a slow, deliberate gesture, the guardian pointed to the flowers. "Each petal holds a memory, a story of those who have come before you. To find salvation for your friend, you must confront the fears that bind you. You will experience their pain. Only then can you uncover the truth." I shivered at the thought. I had known fear in many forms, but I had never been forced to face it so directly. "Can't I just use the dagger? Isn't that enough?" I pleaded, my heart racing at the possibility of failing Sarah. "The dagger is the key to unlock their stories, not a weapon to wield recklessly," the guardian replied. "You must allow yourself to feel." With a nod that felt like a surrender, I stepped closer to the flowers. As I did, the whispers swirled around me, forming coherent sentences. "Remember," they urged, and suddenly I was drawn into a vision. I stood in a cornfield from my childhood, the sun shining bright, casting long shadows. My younger self ran freely, laughter ringing through the air. But then, I stumbled upon a figure standing still among the stalks, a kid from school, their face twisted in fear. "Help me!" they cried. But I was frozen, too scared to approach. Images flashed, a blur of pain, regret, and confusion. A memory I'd locked away. I hadn't known then that they were being bullied, that they had felt alone. A darkness loomed over them that I had ignored, lost in my childish world. I gasped, jolted back into the clearing, breathless. I was right there. I could have helped. The weight of guilt settled on me, suffocating. The guardian's voice broke through the haze. "You must confront these moments. They are part of you, and Sarah's fate is tied to the sins of inaction. A sacrifice must be made, and only then can you reclaim her." "But I can't change the past," I shouted, frustration spilling over. "What do I have to do?" The guardian raised its arms, and the flowers brightened in response. "Use the dagger to guide you. Each cut is a letting go. Sacrifice your fear, your doubt. Only then can you see the path to save her." I nodded, determination replacing fear. My love for Sarah fueled me. I had to try. As I lifted the dagger, I noticed the symbols glowing more intensely. I took a deep breath, recalling that moment in the cornfield, focusing on the weight of my regret. The dagger pressed against my palm, heavy with purpose. That's when I heard it. A rustling in the shadows. My heart lurched. Suddenly, I wasn't alone in the clearing. A dark figure emerged, its eyes burning with malicious intent. "You should not have come here," it growled. And terror gripped me once more. I realized that the guardian was right. I had much to confront, and now I had to face this new threat as well. Would I unearth the truth in time to save Sarah, or fall victim to the darkness that surrounded me? The figure stepped closer, shadows clinging to its form like a veil. My instincts screamed at me to flee, but I stood frozen, dagger poised. "What do you want?" I managed to ask, my voice trembling. It let out a low, rumbling laugh that sent chills down my spine. You've come seeking the past, yet the past seeks you. The memories you wish to uncover are not yours alone. It raised a hand, the air thickening around us, pressing down like a weight I couldn't shake off. I tightened my grip on the dagger, trying to summon courage. If I'm here to save my friend, then I'll face whatever comes, I declared, but doubt gnawed at me. What did the figure mean by, not yours alone? A rush of wind swept through the clearing, and the flowers shook violently. The guardian stood still, impassive, as if watching a play unfold. Leave! The dark figure hissed, stepping into the moonlight, revealing a face twisted in anger but hauntingly familiar. It was me, or rather, a version of me marked by pain. Why are you here? The words tumbled out before I could think. You're not real! You created me, it snarled, taking another step. Every fear you refused to accept, every moment of weakness gave birth to this. The memories flooded back, a montage of my bottled rage and regrets. You can't be real, I shouted. But even as I did, I felt the truth tugging at my heart. This dark version was a product of my inaction, the guilt I carried, the pain I'd watched others endure silently. What do you want from me? I yelled, the words catching in my throat. The figure smiled, and it chilled me to the bone. To see you suffer as I have, to drag you into your own nightmare. You think you can save Sarah. You are just as powerless as you were then. I gingerly took a step back, eyes darting to the flowers. The guardian confirmed my instincts. I had to confront this darkness, this reflection of my fears. If I didn't, it would crush me. As the figure advanced, I lifted the dagger, heart racing. You're just a shadow, I shouted, channeling the anger I'd stifled for so long. You can't control me. The moment I admitted that truth, something shifted. The flowers began to glow brighter, their whispers turning into a harmony. Let it go, they sang. Transform. With a deep breath, I brought the dagger down, scratching the surface of my palm, my blood mingling with the ground. I felt the grief escaping, my fears, regrets, all pouring onto the earth. The figure faltered. It recoiled at the sight of my sacrifice, a scream clawing at the air. No, it wailed. You can't erase me! But I had to. Sarah's life depended on it. I drew strength from the guardian's sage presence and plunged the dagger deeper into my palm. I won't be haunted anymore. I won't let fear win. The dark figure writhed in agony, its form flickering. It stared back at me with a fleeting look of recognition. Was it pain or understanding? Before I could dwell on it, everything around me shimmered. In that moment, I understood. The way forward meant facing all parts of myself head-on. But as the darkness began to dissipate, a new sensation gripped me. My surroundings shifted, the clearing tilted, colors swirling. I was leaving the graveyard of my fears, but into what? Then everything went dark. I woke up gasping, the earth beneath me cold and hard. Blinking, I tried to gather my bearings. Dense fog wrapped around me like a thick blanket, obscuring everything. The last thing I remembered was the struggle against the dark figure. Had I won or lost? Pushing myself up, I noticed a familiar landscape, an expansive cornfield, the same one I'd played in as a child. The high stalks loomed over me, swaying gently in the breeze, their rustling a haunting whisper. A chill ran down my spine. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. As I stood, the fog began to clear slightly, revealing a path through the cornstalks. With each step I took, memories flooded back, mixing nostalgia with dread. I'd played here countless times, but it had also become a labyrinth of fears. Sarah used to joke that we'd run into ghosts, but she might have been right. Suddenly something rustled in the distance. I froze. It had sounded too deliberate. Hello? My voice cracked, uncertainty creeping into my chest. No answer came. I moved forward, compelled by a strange pull. The path narrowed, and the towering corn walls felt suffocating. My heartbeat quickened with every rustle and creak around me. Then I saw it. A shadow flickered between the trees at the edge of the field. "Sarah!" I called out. My voice trembled. No response. The breeze picked up, and the shadow vanished. I felt a fear I thought I had conquered. My mind raced. Get a grip, I told myself. Whatever was happening, I couldn't let it break me again. I pressed onward, the ground crunching underfoot, and soon came upon a small clearing. There, laid out as if for a picnic, were remnants of my childhood. A worn blanket, empty juice boxes, and my old teddy bear. But it wasn't just the past that lingered. It was a presence. A feeling, heavy and unwelcome, clung to me. Sarah? I called again, desperation leaking into my voice. If this is some kind of game. A figure materialized from between the stalks, cloaked in the same unsettling fog. My breath caught in my throat. The figure looked like me, but younger, brighter. Yet there was something off, an unsettling joy that twisted my gut. What are you? I whispered, fear slicing through me. I'm the you that never lost hope, it replied cheerfully, eyes glinting with innocence and smugness. While you let darkness take over, I stayed here, waiting for you. I clenched my fists. I'm not lost. I'm here to save Sarah. You shouldn't have come, it replied, tilting its head. You can't face the truth without facing me first. The ground trembled beneath us, and the sky darkened again. I was being pulled into a wave of memories, regret crashing like waves. They were my fears laid bare, all the moments I wished I could erase. Then ahead, I caught sight of another figure. This one was different, shrouded in the same darkness I thought I had dispelled. You won't save anyone, it bellowed, voice echoing through the field. You will either succumb or lose everything you have left. Suddenly the clearing filled with shadows, and I felt the weight of old fears pushing down on me. My heart raced. I had to find Sarah. I recognized the urgency in her absence, but another part of me screamed to stay. Time seemed to stretch as I stood between the two figures, hope and despair, light and darkness. No! I won't be trapped here! Not again! I shouted. But as the fog thickened and the shadows encroached, I realized the battle within me was about to reach its peak. As I stood there, caught between two halves of myself, the world around me felt like it was unraveling. What was it with this endless twist of shadows and echoes? I needed to find Sarah, needed to reclaim her. Yet I couldn't ignore the struggle occurring within. The glimmer of hope, the bright memory of my younger self, shone like a beacon, fighting against the oppressive darkness looming ever closer. You think you can save your friend? The dark figure spat, its voice laced with malice. You've always run from the truth. You let fear dictate your choices. No, I shot back, determination rising. I've let fear keep me quiet. That ends here. Engaging the darkness didn't feel like a reckless choice any longer. If I wanted to reach Sarah, I had to confront the ugly truths that had haunted me for far too long. With that resolve, I took a step toward the light, toward the brighter version of myself, this fragment of hope. We can do this together, I said, my heart racing. We can bring her back. As I approached, the lighter version smiled warmly, yet solemnly. You have to remember, your strength lies in acceptance. Its words wrapped around me like a warm hug, igniting the spark deep within. The shadows seemed to hiss in response, circling around me as though trying to snuff out that light. You can't change what happened, they shrieked. You can't face the truth without losing everything. But then, the pulsing energy from the dagger tingled, awakening my senses and flooding me with intention. I suddenly understood. The sacrifices weren't just of my fears and regrets. They were also of my silence. The dark figure didn't just represent the past. It was a haunting reminder of all the times I hadn't acted when I should have. Maybe I should have been there, I proclaimed. But I refused to be ruled by guilt any longer. Clutching the dagger tightly, I thrust its tip into the earth, letting my blood mingle with the soil. I will confront the truth. I will save Sarah. An eruption of light burst from below, illuminating everything. The air shifted, the shadows recoiling, writhing in frantic movements as they shrieked. I felt the energy vibrate through me, a raw pulse that connected my heart to the very essence of the field. From the swirling darkness, another form emerged. It was Sarah, no longer hidden behind shadows. She appeared fragile, but determined, standing with the weight of her silence suspended in the air between us. "Help us!" she cried, her voice cutting sharper, deeper, resonating with my core. I reached out, and in that moment, sadness and love poured from me like a cascade, mingling with the swirling energy enveloping us. The words echoed through the field, a symphony of acceptance. "I'm so sorry. We were children, lost in our own fears. I should have been there." As the light surged, I saw flickers of other children, a collage of memories from the past, fragments of laughter, tears, and shadows intertwined. Not just my own had been lost to fear, they were all intertwined. They needed my voice just as much as I needed theirs. The dark figure morphed, flickering between glee and rage. "You think this will save you? You're just opening a door to your own destruction." "Maybe," I shouted against the chaos, "but I'll step through that door if it means bringing them back." With that declaration, I focused on Sarah's essence, my heart racing with emotion. The dagger, still embedded in the ground, glowed brighter, transforming the darkness into sparkling light. I understood the sacrifice wasn't just about loss, but a breaking, a shedding of the burdens I carried. "Sarah," I called, the bond between us stretching like a taut string ready to snap. "We can do this together." In that moment, she lunged forward, and I felt our energies intertwining, forming a tether of light and hope. The shadow shrieked as the light erupted around us, swallowing it whole, pushing against all the darkness I had harbored. Searing illumination bubbled through my veins, resonating with laughter, joy, and those forgotten memories. I saw flashes of the past, moments we had shared, the bond we had forged, and the connections we had lost. The whispers of the children surged with life, echoing through the fields. "Help us! Remember, help!" And just like that, the energy within us snapped, the tether extending further, reaching past the shadows, into the heart of the forest. All at once, the cornfield transformed. The heavy air lifted, replaced with the scent of fresh earth and blooming flowers. Cornstalks bent, parting to reveal a passage. The darkness screamed, spiraling away into the ether, diminished. The shadows fumbled for purchase, but they couldn't withstand the light. "No!" they howled in vain. And in the heart of that transformation I saw it, a light at the end of the field, beckoning me forward. "Together," I whispered to Sarah. And as we took that first step, shadows flickered back into the ground, leaving nothing but memories behind. But as we neared the glow, I couldn't shake the haunting feeling that what lay ahead wasn't finished. We crossed that threshold, into the open space bathed in golden light. I blinked, trying to adjust my eyes, and the world swirled around me again, shifting, leaving me with fleeting inklings of the unknown and the unseen. I could feel Sarah's presence, still tethering close, but the enormity of everything didn't offer peace. It instead rippled with lingering uncertainty. Had we escaped the darkness? Had we truly saved the others? I didn't know. I turned, glimpsing back at the field. All that remained were fragments, a mirror reflecting truths and shadows that seemed to undulate behind the corners of my vision. Maybe the past would echo forever, just as I would always carry the weight of my fears. But that light felt real. Still, haunting questions remained. What will happen now? I pondered, sensing the currents of change around us. The truth felt alive, a breath within the air. As I took a shaky breath, Sarah lingered next to me. A beautiful light cast upon her once more, but a lingering dread twisted at the edges of joy. "I don't know," I whispered, feeling the vulnerability of uncertainty, knowing some shadows may never fully leave us. I moved forward, the golden light bathing the world around me, ready to confront what lay ahead, the truth and the unknown still interfacing. It felt daunting, but even if lingering questions remained unanswered, I'd carry them with me, seeking the clarity I had long ached for, empowered to explore the transformation of the heart. I felt Sarah's presence steady beside me, a reminder of both the past and the potential of new beginnings. Together, we stepped into the unknown, ready to face whatever awaited us on the other side. Together, chasing answers through whispers and dreams.